Hey everyone, I'm Joshua.
And I'm Caleb.
Today we have a serious topic that we want to come to you on. Usually we have a little more fun, but this is important.
We're going to talk about the Holocaust. And as Jewish people, we sort of have that emotional, that spiritual link to what happened in the past whenever we read about it or wherever we hear about it. I mean, we've made plenty of programs that zolalevittpresents about the Holocaust, and we've gone on location. But this morning I was really struck when I read a news story, a poll that said nearly a third of Americans do not believe that 6 million Jews died in the Holocaust.
That's crazy. We were in Tübingen, Germany several years ago doing a show on a March of Life that the church was doing to commemorate the March of Death that the Jews got sent on.
Yeah, with Pastor Job Spittner.
Pastor Job Spittner, and he said that Germany at the time was one generation away from forgetting that the Holocaust ever happened. Every new generation that happens on this earth, we run the risk of forgetting those that came before us in some way.
That's true, and it's not being taught properly, obviously, in public schools in America. And it wasn't that everybody, this third of Americans, didn't believe that the Holocaust happened. It was just like, oh, they're kind of over-exaggerating. Maybe it wasn't 6 million people, maybe it was 1 million. And there was a lot of confusion with that because it's a dark topic, and people don't want to be reminded of the mistakes of their past or the suffering of their past. I mean, we even had, we have relatives going back, looking at our genealogy that came from Austria, Germany. We could have had relatives that perished in the Holocaust. We don't know because our mother was an orphan. But if we forget those lessons from the past of, just letting small little increments, amounts of our freedom being taken away just for the sake of maybe, making life easier for us, or maybe because there is hate in the world.
There's a fear today that the focus will always be on hate if we talk about hate.
That's true.
And that couldn't be further from the truth if it's in the right context. That trip with zolalevittpresents to Tübingen, Germany was so powerful for me personally because I was interviewing Germans who were living in the same home that they were living in World War II. They watched the Jews being marched to death in front of their street and did nothing to stop them because of their shame and fear of what would happen to them. Shame and fear is a cycle. If you give into it, if you give into the idea of ignoring the truth, then you will have a generation that repeats it, because ignoring something or forgetting something is about the most ignorant concept you have. We grow by building on our past and improving where we've been.
Yeah, and remembering the mistakes of our past and trying to succeed where others in our past have failed. And it's not that, we want to forget everything of our past, and it's not like we want to glorify our past. There has to be a balance in all things. But there is a lot of wisdom when it comes to seeing how other people live their lives, where they failed, where they've grown, where they've benefited, and trying to model ourselves to be better in respect. That's why the Jews, they have a lot of sayings such as never again, never forget. These are sayings that they say to remember the past, not necessarily to idolize it, but to use that as a springboard
and
to grow.
Unfortunately, I've heard people say before today, well, I'm not Jewish and that didn't affect me, so what's the point? The point is, what happened in the Holocaust happened to the Jewish people, but hate can happen to anyone. And so if we forget what happened, if we ignore it, who's the next group to have hate come and try to destroy that group of people or that way of life or whatever it is? You take great care and caution as a parent to instill the truths into your children so that they don't touch the fire and burn their hand, so they don't run out in traffic. All right? It's not saying that traffic's full of hate and that fire is evil. We're teaching to instill wisdom so that we grow and that we have a future.
And we know, according to the Word of God, that this isn't the first and it's not the last genocide of His chosen people, that there will always be hate against His people, and that in the end times, that hate's going to return in the body of the beast. And the Jews and the Gentiles that do not believe upon the beast, they're going to be persecuted. There's going to be cleansing, ethnic cleansing again. And so we know these things are going to come back, and we need to prepare for those things by speaking the truth, by reminding, even as we're doing now, as we continually done in the show Zolalevittpresents. And it's a hard thing to do, but we encourage y'all to remember, we encourage y'all to honor those who have sacrificed their lives. And we encourage y'all to love those who have survived and have gone through that and their families, because it's hard for them.
Know where you came from. Know where you're going and stand for something. Don't be a part of the group that doesn't commit because you don't feel you know everything about it. I'm not a PhD scholar, so I can't talk about the Word of God. No, stand for something. Believe in something. Let truth prevail because you are a messenger for it.
That's good. Thanks for listening.